how to maintain your progress when traveling. Really, it's not always easy. And it really depends on your traveling schedule. It depends on your schedule while you're traveling and obviously the place you're going to. Now, honestly, most places nowadays will have a decent gym. I'm not talking about hotel gyms, but most cities, an acceptable size, will have a decent facility. So unless you're not able to travel because you don't have any means of transportation, but you can always call a taxi or a Uber, normally you should be able to make it to a gym. If you can't, maybe you are in a resort that has very small amount of weight, maybe like 20-pound dumbbells and something like that, then yeah, it's going to be harder to maintain your current program. But then again, breaking your program for a week will not kill your progression. Let's look at things objectively. If you're talking about like not training, okay, if you stop training for 1 week, you will lose exactly this amount of muscle. Zero. Okay, there will be zero muscle loss during that 1 week break. You might feel flat. You might feel smaller for three reasons. First, you might decrease glycogen storage because the body doesn't perceive that it needs as much because it's not physically active. You might decrease muscle tone because you don't activate the nervous system as much. And you're going to reduce muscular inflammation. Inflammation in the muscle actually makes your muscle feel and look bigger. So you might look smaller, but you're not going to lose muscle in 1 week with zero training. Now, if you don't train for 2 weeks, this is the amount of muscle you're going to be losing. Zero. Again, provided your protein stays high, you will not lose muscle or strength in the first 2 weeks of not training. It's only in the third week that you will start losing some muscle, but it's really not as much as you think. We're talking about grams of muscle. And obviously, the more experience you have, the longer it will take to lose that muscle. Again, you might feel smaller because the muscles have less muscle tone, you start in less glycogen, and you don't get that pump feeling, but it's not muscle loss. I mean, oftentimes when I travel, let's say for a seminar, I might not train for 5 days. The day of the travel, depending on when my flight is, I might not train. The day when I arrive, if there's some time zone difference and I'm jet lagged, I might not train that day. Then the weekend comes in and I'm not training on the day I'm presenting because I used to do that, but come the second half of the seminars, my brain was just shot. So I don't train when I'm giving a seminar. And if my flight is the next day, then I'm not going to train that day either. So, and at first I was freaking out, but really just one gym session, and I was back to normal because I regained my muscle tone. So honestly, if you maintain a high protein intake, you will not lose muscle if you stop training for a week when you're traveling. So I would not worry about it. If you can find a gym and maintain your workout, that's even better. You can actually keep making gains. If you don't have a decent gym, but you still want to do some work, understand that if we are talking about hypertrophy, the number of repetitions you do doesn't matter provided that the level of effort is the same. There was that study by Cameron showing that training at 30% of your 1RM or 80% of your 1RM, if both are taken to failure, you will get the same hypertrophy gains. So that means that if only light dumbbells are available, for 1 week you can switch to very, very high reps. As long as you hit failure or close to it or the same level of fatigue you would get when you do your set, you will be able to stimulate muscle growth. Yeah, it's not your program, but it will allow you to maintain muscle mass strength and especially mental sanity. And it might actually give your joints a break. So I would really not worry about it. What would you do if you travel essentially every week? Maybe barbell work on the weekend when I'm home, and then volume whatever but weekend. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good solution. You can absolutely gain muscle by hitting a muscle hard once a week. Absolutely. So when you look at the way that bodybuilders from the 90s and 2000 used to train, and even many train today, yeah, they split the body into many sessions, but really they're training each muscle once a week. So if on the weekend, for example, you train half your body on Saturday, half your body on Sunday, well, you are hitting each muscle hard once a week. Anything you do besides that is bonus work. You can totally grow from hitting your muscles hard on Saturday and Sunday. No question about it. Again, there will be days during the week where you feel flat, but again, that's neurological, that's psychological, that's glycogen. But we can totally build muscle training Saturday and Sunday. And anything you can get in the week would be bonus work. Okay. And obviously, those weekend sessions might need to be either a bit longer or more intense. what I mentioned in a previous question in this live, the amount of work you need to stimulate growth depends on how hard you push your sets. The closer you get to failure, the less volume you need for that muscle. I mean, if you are training, I'm going to use my own example. When I'm training hard at the moment, I'm doing more of a low volume approach. I'm doing essentially 6 sets, well, per week. Okay, so that's 4 sets per muscle per day, twice a week. So basically, I'm hitting each muscle twice a week at 4 sets a piece. So I'm doing 8 hard sets per muscle per week. So that's totally doable if you split the body in 2. So you might have a push day with a quad exercise and a pull day with a hamstring exercise in there. So it could be, let's say, one chest exercise, one big chest exercise, one big press for the shoulders, one pressing for movement for triceps. Then you might have one squat or one front squat or a split squat in there. And then you're going to have maybe 2 isolation exercises, one for chest, one for delts, for example. On the next day, you might have same thing like one vertical pull, one horizontal pull, maybe one trap, one biceps, and one deadlift hip hinge variation. And you do 2 sets to failure on those. 2 warm-up sets, 2 sets to failure. The workouts will last you around, let's say, 60, 75 minutes. So that alone would be enough to get some gains because you're going to have enough volume provided that the effort level is high enough. Or what you could do is you could have one heavy lift. So let's say on Saturday, I'm going to be pressing and legs or pressing and quad dominant. So I'm going to have one heavy or one big lift for pressing movement, might be an incline press, for example, which combines shoulders and chest. And then you're going to have a squat variation. Both could be trained with the double progression model. So you do 3 work sets with the same weight for 6 to 8 reps or 4 to 6, depending on what you're shooting for. And you only add weight to the bar when you're capable of doing all 3 sets with the same weight at the top of the range. So if you select 4 to 6, and if you do the first, you use 200 pounds on bench and you do a set of 6, set of 6, set of 5, then the next week you use the same weight because you have not filled up your set. See what I mean? So you can have those 2 big lifts, okay? And then you would have more hypertrophy-based training, which would be a lower stress exercise, more stable movements, more targeted exercises done to failure for 2 sets to failure. That would be totally effective for growth. And then on the other days, once or twice during your week, you do either body weight or you do sprints, you do jumps, or you can do band exercises or just band exercise when you travel. I just carry bands with me. I can biceps, shoulders, rows can be done with bands. Not as effective as lifting, but you get your main work done on the weekend. So you will get a lot of your training that way. That would be actually a very, very good strategy.
If you enjoyed this information, hit that like button to let us know. Plus, if you never want to miss another T Nation video again, hit subscribe and that little notification bell right next to it.